Hey there, if you're an occupational therapist and you finally landed that interview and now you're like, holy crap, what do I need to do to actually get a job offer? Then I'm gonna share with you my 7 basic interview etiquettes that's gonna help increase your chances of getting that job offer. My name is Huang with Hand Therapy Secrets, and I wanna help you land that dream job in hand therapy. Now, to be perfectly honest, this can help any occupational therapist that's looking to get a job in hand therapy, no matter if you're going into hand therapy or not. So I am a clinic owner. You can see in the background that I own a clinic in Miami, Florida, and I spend a lot of time interviewing people. Now, I've been doing this even before I started my own clinic, but when I was in other facilities and other positions, I also helped with interviews, but now I do all the interviewing here at my clinic, and not just for the therapy position, like every position that is available at my clinic. So I'm going to share with you my 7 basic interview etiquette tips that's going to help you really land that job, right? So the first one is do your research. Number 2 is confidence, show up with confidence. Number 3 is have humility. Number 4 is be engaged. Number 5 is be on time. Number 6 is don't get too comfortable. And number 7 is everyone that is involved in your interview process is important. So now that I've told you my 7 basic tips for interview etiquette, I'm gonna go ahead and give you some examples of what you can do. So when it comes to do your research, you don't even know how many times I get people who come into interview with me and they have absolutely no idea what I do. They don't know anything about my company. And this is the basic that you could do. So no matter where you're applying for a job, whether it be a small private practice like myself or a big corporate company, really do your research in what type of facility it is, what type of company it is. Do they have certain core values that they really just splash and display and talk about often? You really want to go ahead and do your research in terms of what type of company you're applying to work with, and also do some research on that particular type of position. What do you need for that type of position? Now, everyone here is for the most part, trying to get a job in hand therapy. But it's really important to say, like, do they treat post-surgical cases? Do they treat non-surgical cases? Do they value certain things that you may not know about? It's really, really easy to do some research on that company, right? So go in prepared. You're going to give yourself such a better chance of getting asked for another round of interviews, or to come in and talk to people, to go and come meet the team. So it's research of a company is so easy, and it's a must do. And I'm saying it because I see it so much that people show up without doing the research that they need to do. Number 2 is confidence. Clarity in what you want and clarity in terms of that position is really, really key. So you want to show up with a certain amount of confidence that you want the position, right? Or at least you want to learn more about the position. Using your body language, right? So instead of being like this and talking really low, you want to come in with a certain amount of energy. You want to come in and be you, but you want to come in with a confident you. Body language is key. Eye contact is key. Shaking hands is key. Now, if you're on a Zoom call and doing some of that, or you're on the phone and doing that, sometimes those are some first steps or second steps that you're taking. You can still show confidence in that way in terms of how you speak, using keywords. And I believe I have another video on the one thing that you should not be saying when you're going to like interviews and stuff like that. So go and check that video out. But for the most part, you want to show up confident, and you want to know that you want that job. Number 3 is have humility. So this is really key too. And so you can always be on one end of the spectrum or the other. You can come in and not have any confidence, or you can come in and have like way too much confidence, right? So you don't want to have that either. You're in an interview, right? So the interview process allows them to vet you, right? They are making a determination whether you would be a good fit for them. Can you do the job that they need you to do? Can you treat patients the way that they want you to do? Are you going to be a team player in terms of like getting along? And do you value what they value? Right? So if you're coming in there and you're like, yeah, I got the job in the bag because I have this or I have that, that can also like be detrimental to you moving on to the next step. An interview process is about you selling yourself to them, why you would be really good at that job. So being overly confident can kind of like, you know, nip you in the butt a little bit. So just, you know, keep that in mind. All right, be engaged. Be engaged. Woo, this is a huge topic. I'm actually going to do another interview all on engagement and asking questions. But being engaged in an interview means that you are, you know, you're invested in the process of learning about this company. You are invested in learning about the person who's interviewing you. You know, asking questions is a huge part of being invested, right? So you can either have questions, you know, throughout, or you can have questions at the end. But whatever your questions are, don't make it so basic. I'm gonna come back to this in another video, like I said, but engagement is like really just so simple. It's like looking at them. Oh, don't be driving. Like if you're doing a phone interview, I can't even tell you how many times people have done like phone interviews with me. They're not in a quiet place. They're not giving me the attention. They're driving around. They're running to another thing. That doesn't show me that you're that interested. If you really wanted the job, you would carve out that small chunk of time to talk to somebody. So, you know, keep that in mind. That is all part of engagement. The next one, number 5, be on time. I know it sounds so basic, but I can't tell you how many times people are late. Now with Zoom calls nowadays, it's you know, it's just like 1 or 2 minutes. It's not a big thing. It's not a big deal. But when you're doing in-person interviews, you really don't want to be late. You want to be on time. And do you know what on time means? On time means being a little bit early. Now, you don't want to be like super early. Somebody was interviewing for a job next door to us. They came an hour early. Nobody was in the office. She ended up coming knocking on our door, wanting to sit with us, and we're like, but you know, that's really early. You don't want to be late to the point where you're like running in and you're frantic. You're like, oh my God, where am I? No, you want to give yourself enough time so that you can like settle in, you know, calm your nerves or whatever, and be prepared to essentially sell yourself, show your value in terms of the position. And it's really gonna show that you actually care. Being on time is huge. Don't dismiss it just because it's so simple, right? Sometimes the simplest things that we could do are the key things that people are looking for. Number six, don't be too comfortable. Number 6, don't be too comfortable. So you're still, you know, you're still talking to them as somebody who's trying to get to know you. Now, one of the things I do really well is I get comfortable with people really quickly. So sometimes people tend to open up a little bit too much. And you gotta be careful with that. Because I'm a relatively casual person, right? What you see is what you get. I'm a pretty, you know, casual person, but in an interview process, I'm still questioning and deciding whether you move to the next step or not. So be careful with being so comfortable that you overshare, you know, information that is not necessarily relevant to the position. For example, don't get into details too much about your personal life that has no relevance for the position. You know, you don't want to be like, oh yeah, like I went out and I was partying just last night and I got drunk. Like, don't talk to me like we're friends right now. the first interview is, you know, really key in terms of moving to the next step, right? So you want to be careful with, you know, how much you're sharing, because it can actually be detrimental if they know way too much at the very, very beginning about you. You can be fun, you can show you're fun, like I like to have a good time and I like to have fun and I like to get to know people, but you want to be careful with oversharing the personal side until like a little bit later. So that is one key component in terms of interview etiquette. The last thing I'm going to share with you, number 7, is everyone who you're speaking to is important and they're a part of that interview process. I can't even tell you how many times, and this is not just me, but this is other people who do a lot of interviewing, and this is what they also tell me. How you treat other people along this process plays a huge role in whether you're considered for the role, right? So for example, I have several processes, and you know, one part of it is to speak to my office assistant. Now, if you can't be nice to her, like how are you going to be nice to everyone else, you know, patients, other team members, right? So everyone along that process is really important. And so if you're applying for a small place, it's almost more important because it's a small team. And even if you are applying to a really big place, you know, they might have several people who come together and make decisions. And so every person along that process that you speak to can and will be important in terms of helping to determine whether you get that job offer or not, right? So those are my 7 tips on interview etiquette, and that is the basic. What I'm going to do too is, this is a 3-part video series. I'm going to talk about the basics, and I'm going to include those in the show notes, not show notes, in the description down below. So if you like this video, definitely like and share it with your friends who might be looking for a job in as an occupational therapist, whether it's in hand therapy or not. These 7 tips really transcend any job in the healthcare field, right? So this is the first video. The second video I'm going to share with you, I'm going to break down post-interview etiquette, and the third series I'm going to share with you is what questions to ask during the interview process. So I'm going to break this up a little bit for you guys, but if you like this kind of video, then definitely hit subscribe and like the video and leave me a comment below. Tell me, did any of this actually help you when you were getting ready for an interview? If it did, I'd really like to hear from you. And if you like videos like this, you know, definitely like and share it with your friends who could use this as well. Thank you so much. And I will talk to you in the next video.